Hello and welcome back. So continuing on with the World Database Storage System, we had said in the last video that basically the World Database, the simple stuff was done and it was time for us to move on to the advanced stuff. But since then, Nelson has discovered a few bugs, and I believe Gavin also played part in discovering one of those bugs. So in this video, we're going to take a few minutes and address what has been found that could cause us some issues in the future. Nelson?
All right. Well, the first one is fairly simple. It was just some basic mistake on my part. On line 108 in database.cs, we have a line of code that says if toStore.item2.length is greater or equal to existing header.data size. Well, what that means is if the record we're storing is the same length as the record that already exists there, or is a greater length, then it's going to go ahead and append that record to the end of the database file, thus creating more fragmentation and making the file bigger. We can actually get away with taking off this equality check and just say if the length is actually greater than what we're trying to store, then go ahead and do the appending. Otherwise, let it be. If it's the same size as the previous record, just let it sit where it used to.
Exactly. That makes sense.
All right. The next issue is a little bit more complicated. Basically, in our record header, we're storing a type, a reflection type. And you'll see here we're using the type.getType method. And then right here, we're using the type.assemblyQualifiedName property. Now, the problem with this means that the type that we're storing has to always come from the same assembly. When we're working in Unity, however, we don't necessarily have control about what name our assembly gets. So this can cause issues if Unity changes our assembly name, or if we have the same code or the same class, in one assembly, and then we copy and paste the code into another assembly and try to do other stuff. And it just gets really confusing really quickly. So instead of doing this, what we're going to do is we're going to just compare the type names, not by their reflection type, but by their full name. Their full name is going to be the namespace that the type is in plus the actual name of the class. So that's actually a really straightforward fix. All I'm going to do is change this type property to a string. And then when I load it, I'm just going to say get string from stream. And then when I save it, I'm just going to say save or type.
Okay.
The changes we need to make in database are helpfully outlined by Resharper. We have our header.type does not equal type. This is going to be type.fullname. So header.type does not equal type.fullname. The next issue is that we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to say header.type equals type fullname. And then right here, instead of setting type to record.getType, we're going to say record.getType.fullname. The next issue in our database index is on line 48. We have a problem where when we pad in our -1s, we don't actually seek to the end of it before we start padding. So we might overwrite some existing indices, and it will be all not good. So basically, we just have to take this line right here and swap it above this line right there. So now we're making sure we've seeked all the way to the end of the file. Then we start increasing the file size by writing out these -1s, and then we write the position out at the end of that.
Okay.
The final issue is on line 75, where I did not reference the correct variables on this piece of arithmetic. I actually used the parameters or the arguments from getIndex instead of the arguments from the delegate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, so let's just go ahead and add a 2 to both the x and the y.
Yeah, very, very simple mistake there. And that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, that's everything that I've found thus far.
Okay, awesome. And of course, that doesn't mean that we are guaranteed to be 100% bug-free. Who knows? In the future, we may stumble on something else. And if we do, we'll come back and address it in a video. But for now, if you are following along with these videos and typing out the code verbatim, you will want to make sure that you get these changes implemented as well. So that's going to wrap up this video. And in the next video, we'll be moving on to some of the more advanced features in the World Database Storage System. Thanks a lot, everyone.